Hindi motivo.
Hello, good evening, everybody in Thailand and Asia. And we just give out a few more minutes waiting for people to log in. But today we have Coach Suresh regarding to the tennis environment here in US. So let's give a few more minutes and wait for people to come in and join us this evening or this morning in US. So just a few more minutes, okay? We'll be right back. So in the meantime, just about 8 p.m., 8:02 p.m. in Asia now. So why we waiting a few more minutes? Because we have a few people that still missing, haven't logged in yet. A lot of people, this is probably first time that they log in on Zoom. But, you know, again, this is probably a new normal now that people interact online. So it is maybe a good time to start using Zoom and watching a lot of good information on Zoom because you know it's safe basically. And I see a lot of people online. Coach Cole, how are you doing? Good morning or good evening this evening. Hope that you're probably not logged in from tennis court, or I hope you're at home now. How are you doing? สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับพี่จอร์จ
ครับผม
How you
How are you
doing?
doing? Okay, so we're gonna a few more minutes. We good to go. Is Ice joining us today?
I think so. I talk
Okay,
with the Ice Joy today.
good. Coach,
Yes, I'm here.
okay,
Good
you
morning.
ready, sir?
It's good
Okay.
morning from Lindsey Wilson and Kentucky.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's do the official opening, so that way we can proceed, and we got this on the tape. And anybody who missed anything information that you speak today, they can always come back and listen from our USCC platform. And also, we are live on our Facebook in 10 different Facebook in different countries. So yeah, we got them all, Coach, this morning.
Good.
Okay, so I just want to welcome everybody to our USCC webinar again. We are planning to bring information to you from the coaches, expert, and instructor, and anything from US. Keep you updated regarding to your sport and your families and your lifestyle and your education. Especially right now during the COVID situation, because a lot of people have questioned, will US open for college or education this fall 2020? And today we have Coach Suresh. He will be able to answer all those questions for you. So please be prepared your question and go ahead and type in the chat room, and I will certainly ask Coach at the end of the session during the Q&A session, so that way you all here have get information and be able to make a timely and informed decision of what's going to happen. Again, my name is George. I'm a founder and CEO of US College Sport Camp. We've been in business for 8 years now. Normally during this time we will see you in Asia, because we operate a camp and in 7 sports, but unfortunately happened this year. We will not see you this summer, but hopefully see you again in the winter. But during this time, I just want to keep you and family updated on the situation. So we decided to start our webinar about a month ago, and today is probably number 20 already. And to not long overdue, today we have a privilege to have a wonderful coach and friends and partner, and also he's from Asia, he's from India, and he will be able to tell about himself to you a little bit later on. So again, Coach has been through everything. Not many times we see coaches have a master's degree in economic and accounting. So not only the expertise as they bring in from the coaching side, because he's been coach tour player in ATP, WTA. He has 15 years coaching at the D2 level, and now he's coming back teaching at and coaching at Lindsey Wilson. So, Coach, not long overdue. I want to give you an audience from Asia that very eager and motivated to listen to you this morning.
Good.
Please take it away.
Thank you, George. Everybody, namaste, welcome. I'm very happy to have a nice chat with you this morning. This is my first webinar live, so please forgive me if I get a little nervous, just like anybody else. I feel like a little kid again. But yes, I was really looking forward to being in Asia next week to do these seminars and these camps with George and the group. I'm really sad with what's happening to the whole world right now, but we all have to adapt and accept what is going on, and so some maybe even have to make some sacrifices. So having said that, I'm just going to give you, for some of you who are new and looking to send their children or their students abroad, uh, the recruiting business is open in the U.S. We are every coach, NCAA, NAIA, junior colleges, California Community College, different organizations. Everybody's open for business. We are looking very, very excitedly to open our season this fall. But each day and each week, we have to keep getting updated, with information, how to adapt, and how to make adjustments in our future. Hopefully, this is not going to be the norm forever, but at least for the next 1 year. But quick little basics about recruiting. NCAA has definite dates about when they can contact you, Division I, Division II. After your junior year, they can contact you, but only limited initially, but then you can do a lot of texting and calling and official visits. Unofficially, you can visit a lot. So there are a lot of recruiting rules that Division I and II follow. Division III, for most part, is pretty open. Similar to NAIA, we can contact you at any point. You're welcome to talk to us at any point. You can get any information you need. So there's a lot of, if you feel like a coach in the NCAA is not replying to you, he or she is following some rules. So keep that in mind when you, especially during these times. A lot of them cannot get to their offices. A lot of them do not have, they can't be on the road to meet you or come to see you. Obviously, you're all international. They may not be able to coordinate with you with the timings. So there are a lot of mitigating circumstances, but we are open and we are recruiting on a daily basis. I'm doing this 7 days a week. A lot of my colleagues in Division I, Division II, Division III, we've been talking amongst ourselves a lot, and we find that the main issue that we are going to have this coming year is we getting visas. And, we don't know whether the embassies are going to be opening on time. But as we go forward, in the last week, I've heard that many coaches are contacting different embassies, and they're telling them that they are open electronically. So they will be, once they get the I-20s, they can go ahead and, at least online, make the bookings. Nothing's going to happen apparently till about August, but and they don't know what kind of load they have. For instance, I'm finding out that in India, the waiting period is going to be so long that they may not get to the students till maybe September. So maybe in Hong Kong, it's a little bit different. Maybe in Bangkok, it'll be a little bit Thailand, a little different. So we are trying to monitor that as well as coaches, where we are recruiting people from. Right now, there is a scramble to recruit only existing players who are here who want to transfer. Makes it easy. They already have a visa. They're already in the country. So there may be a lot of give and take for this year. Hopefully by next year, it'll be a little bit better. So talking about recruiting, some of you may already know most of this information, but I'm just going to touch on a few things and we can ask questions a little bit later. Right now, majority of this colleges are saying there's no need. They're overlooking the SAT or the ACT requirement and the TOEFL, which is very important for non-English speaking colleges and universities. Having said that, that means that they're very looking at it from your GPA and your transcript. They're really taking a very strong look at that. So hopefully you can have those documents translated and accurately verified and evaluated to send to the different admissions. There are a lot of the colleges are also waiving admission fees, application fees, sorry. So they're doing a lot of things to make sure that they're recruiting good academically qualified players, since they cannot use the SAT or the ACT as a guideline. As some of you know or may not know, Division I uses a sliding scale for admissions, for eligibility. For instance, if you have like an 840 SAT and a 2.4 GPA, you'll be certified. If you have a 2.2, they'll require higher SATs. If you have a lower SAT, you'll require a higher GPA. So Division II, they're going straight on SAT score, initial eligibility, as well as minimum GPA of 2.0. NAIA is the same. You know, there's a SAT requirement or ACT 860 or 18. Internationals have a little bit higher number and a good GPA, about a 2.0 GPA. So about the same in recruiting and getting your players eligible. However, keep one thing in mind, that the numbers are different. In NAIA, they will only take per test, not in Division II, NCAA, they will take the best of your both scores. If you give a test 2 times, they'll take the best of the math and the best of the verbal. But in NAIA, they only take the 1 score. So if the first test, if you scored a 960, they'll take that score. The second test, like say you do better than math and you know, whatever, the second test is a second test. So keep that in mind. That's the big difference between NAIA and NCAA. TOEFL, I'm only speaking for Lindsey Wilson. Our admissions office is waiving the TOEFL requirement, but they do have a verbal, like a Zoom interview or a video interview with the potential student, just to make sure that they understand English, they're conversant, and they can get along in school initially. So a lot of the colleges have made adjustments in admitting students, but they are doing it. Don't be scared. Do not be worried. Keep asking the coaches and keep emailing the admissions director for help. They will do everything possible. The other thing is, to be eligible to play this fall, a lot of the offices, the eligibility centers, and like NAIA and NCAA, they have been closed and they have a lot of backlog. So getting your student or player certified to compete this fall semester may take a longer time than you think. That's another worrisome issue for all of us. There are a lot of documents that different conferences are going to require once you're admitted. So make sure that you're following, especially during these COVID times, that when you have a certain requirement from a certain college, that you send it to them immediately, or if you have an issue, talk to the coaches. We are finding that people think they have the right document, but it's not certified, it's not stamped. That makes the process even longer and more difficult. We are also suggesting that possibly for the students to come in the spring semester. That's the good thing about tennis sport. We are a spring sport for the most part. There are a few colleges in Division III and certain conferences that they play their conference championships in the fall semester. They are trying very hard to maybe make adjustments for starting later or maybe moving their championships to the spring semester. So we are in a very unique times in our life where we are trying to accept this virus, make adjustment to our programs. And a lot of us, including you and myself, we had to make a lot of sacrifices for the first 6 months at least. Having said that, if some of you have questions about, the basic requirements, just, write down the questions and we'll answer them later. I'm going to basically let you know some of the concerns that college coaches have, and I want to share that with you. Our biggest concern is obviously how we are going to get the actual sports started this fall. There's a lot of guidelines from our local government, from our state government, and we have to follow. Each state has slightly different policy. USA, as you know, is a very big country with 50 states and with 50 different governors with 50 different issues. Some are not having as many problems as others. But because we play interstate, because we have to travel, because we have to house these people, book hotels, a lot of things are going to be taken into consideration. And for that, we are going week to week right now, sometimes day to day, week to week. How does this impact you? It impacts you very much because many colleges and universities may be dropping the budgets. They may be lowering their budgets. That means they won't be able to honor some of their scholarships as much. They may have to reduce it. Then once you get here, housing may be an issue. They may have to isolate you for a while. So we don't know these exact answers as of today. This disease is really, it's a mystery, and there's no permanent solution. So every individual president of a college is taking very seriously the health and the well-being of your students, of your children, and we take that very seriously to begin with. Before the COVID started, every student has to go through a physical. They have to fill up a lot of forms, and they have to have insurance. So those things are going to be even more in the requirement, and we are going to be monitoring everybody continuously. Let me give you an idea to how safe we are trying to make it. As of today, our college is open. But the first thing we have to do in the morning is we have to go to different stations, get our temperature tested in the morning. Then we have to fill up a 3-question form about where we have been. Have we been in touch with anybody who's sick? Do we have a temperature of over 101.4? Stuff like that. So after every day, this is daily. If we pass that, then we can go to our offices to work and go on campus. This is going to be happening to all our students when they come back. So how are we going to do that? Because our school has 1,700 students. Some universities have over 25,000. So between small colleges where they have 500 to 600 students to big universities that have over 25, 30,000, it's a very time-consuming and expensive proposition to test everybody, to trace everybody, and keep everybody safe. So these are the questions that different institutions are looking at. There are many, many issues that we have to go through. But your main concern right now for this year and for the next year, at least for the future, is that your students and your players continue to try and get their requirements done, the SATs, be prepared for the ACT, for the TOEFL. Whenever they come up, make sure you have those certifications and have them validated, all your documents. When you graduate from middle school, not important, but when you're in high school, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grades, you must have all those requirements. They will still be required maybe in the near future. NCAA Division I, you got to have 16, you got to pass 16 core courses, similar to Division II. Again, NAIA, we require SATs and GPA or class rank. So if they have to be in the top 50% of the class, all these requirements are still going to be there. They're not going to go away. So academically, your players, your students, and your children must go online and check the requirements of the different divisions. NCAA requires, Division I requires 4 years of English, 3 years of math. NCAA Division II requires 3 years of English, 2 years of math. They just increased to like 3 additional years of English. So all these things you must keep in mind to be qualifying to be certified by the NCAA Eligibility Center to play. NAIA, very simple, very easy. You got to meet 2 out of the 3 criteria. Good SAT score along with a class rank or 2.0 GPA. Or if you don't have the SAT scores, you can go with your class rank. You have to be top 50%, and you got to have above a 2.0 GPA. This is just for being able to play. Each college has a different requirement for admissions. Here we have just to receive scholarships, we have a certain SAT requirement, certain GPA requirement. So overall, there are different levels of colleges for you to play in. There is a junior college, JUCO. Then we have, the NAIA. For some of you who don't know this, NAIA the level is almost similar to Division II. And the Division II, NAIA, we can also compete against Division I. Maybe some of the lower level ranked teams would be about the same level, maybe teams from like 75 to 100. So the level of play in NAIA, which I speak for, and I've also done Division II NCAA, is very similar. We are the higher level team, obviously have very good, qualified players. All of you must know about the UTR. We use the UTR more for a overall like a guess about the level of play. But we do see other potentials, even during these COVID times. We know you don't play, you haven't played in many tournaments, so you're not going to have much results. The videos really, really help. Make sure you have videos that are professionally done. There's obviously, we are all professional coaches. We don't need you to show on the video if the child is hitting a forehand or a backhand or a serve. We know, but make it, from different angles. This shows us the potential of the player. Make sure on the video you also add some point play that, from a real match at the same level of play. One of the things that I do not enjoy watching is a student playing with their coach, and the coach is trying to make them look good, and no, try and send videos where they're playing against in a real match situation, even if it's like for 1 minute or 2 minutes. So it's very important in this day and age to make good videos, attach their workout schedule for, what kind of workouts they do. We want that because fitness, conditioning, and the level of play, we can determine that initially with your help. So you may not be able to go out right now to do it, but whatever you have is going to help. We are going to use a lot of references in these times because we cannot verify many things. So it's okay to provide as much information as you can and communicate on a regular basis with as many coaches as you want. Having said that, similar to what you folks are doing and talking to many coaches, I personally prefer every one of my students to talk to as many coaches as possible so they have a good idea where they want to actually go and how they fit in. We are going to have a presentation real quick about a virtual tour, which a lot of you obviously cannot come to the US, but these are tools that we are using for our American kids, local kids who would normally have come to visit, and this is what we are sending out. So if you want to take a quick look at, like the type of virtual tours, this is very important for you as well. George, do you have a video of?
Yes, sir. I know you give me a cue, right? Sorry.
No.
God. Okay, hold on a second. It's coming right up.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I just want to give you a kind of an idea about scholarships. NCAA Division I, Division II are allowed to give scholarships. Division III gives only academic support and academic scholarships. So most of the Division III schools are private and high cost, and they make that up with very good academic scholarships. Obviously, you're higher the SATs, some of them require 1,200, 1,400, even 1,500. NAIA, all schools are allowed to give scholarships. Now, every one of these have limits. It's not unlimited. Division I for the men is 4.5 maximum, and they are equivalency based. Division I women, up to 8 full scholarships, but they're direct numbers. That means if they get 8 players, 8 of them can get scholarships. The coach cannot break that into half and give it to 4 more people. So it's 8 fulls in Division I, but not all Division I men and women give those limits. It's only the top 5 programs, conferences, and only few of them give out full. So keep in mind, not everybody gives out full scholarships for everybody. So there's a 4.5 limit for Division I, Division I women, there's 8. Division II, it's 6 for the women, and also 4.5 for men. In the men's, they're allowed to split that up any way they want. They can give half to each and make it, they have 9 players. So not necessarily they give a full to everybody. NAIA, the NAIA limit is 5, but the institution limit is lower. It could be some colleges can afford to give only 3 designated. So please be aware that scholarships are not given out randomly. Every school has a budget. They have a criteria to give out these scholarships. Some colleges are not allowed to stack. Stacking means using academic scholarships, which they offer, as well as athletic scholarships. Some offer even Division I, II, NAIA, junior college. They may have only athletic scholarship or only academic. At Lindsey Wilson, we are allowed to give both academic as well as athletic. So that makes, it more kind of appealing to you to send to NAIA. So keep that in mind. There are limits to scholarships, and also the cost of different colleges. Obviously, you go to a Princeton or a Stanford, or you go to a Furman or some of these private Division III schools like Williams. The cost is very, very, very high. Or you go to a state college in Mississippi or Georgia, the cost may be very less. And then the standard of education could be a little bit different. One has a name, the other one doesn't have a name brand. For the most part, the basic education is very good in most places. It's your choice where you want it to be geographically. Having said that, George, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm ready. But before I get to show you a video, I just want to let you know, everybody on the line know that I launched a poll. And if you have a chance, please go ahead and give your answer. We'll open up for a few minutes, and we probably need your help, Coach, to answer some of this, to give a final answer for some of this trivia. Like how many matches you play and all those stuff. So that will come right after the video. So please take a few minutes of your time and go ahead and type in to see if you get the right answer. Okay. All right. Here we go. The video, the first one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your college.
Yes. And similarly, every college has put out.
Oh, go ahead, please speak quietly. I think we hear them. Is it good, Coach?
Yes.
Okay. So could you tell us a little bit more? See, that's just Kentucky. So beautiful city, beautiful state, and it's a lot of green.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, what was the first question that you want me to answer?
So let's start with this. Here we go.
Okay,
Yeah, a
I
lot
see
of
the
people
questions.
don't know the difference is that even though there's more than 1,000 tennis program here, including NCAA 1, 2, 3, NAA, junior college, all those stuff, there's really only 100 something plus women program in NAA, and also another 100 plus in for men's. It's a privilege to play on the team. For the school, represent the school, and cultivate the program and the culture. So it's a very difficult, and it's a pathway through that. And a lot of time that you probably were, I was there too as a young man, 18, 30 years ago, that want to be a professional. So professional pathway coming college in U.S. It's you get both sides, education and training. While you're waiting to be your time to come. So how many months you actually train and play in the season?
Okay. So in NAIA, there is a we have 24 weeks total in the year that we can train and practice and play. In this, there is no time limit in NAIA. NCAA Division I, II, there is a 20-hour limit that you can play, and they too have a non-championship season. It's called the non-traditional season, and a traditional season, which is a championship season. Majority, obviously, in tennis play in the spring, and in the fall they're allowed to play X amount of tournaments and even some dual matches. Dual matches means against other teams. So we typically, the limit used to be 25, which is, but this year, because of COVID, there is a very strong possibility that the numbers are going to be reduced of the amount of competitions, amount of dates we can use. So the coaches are going to be adapting to that in this coming year. Some may play 2 matches in one day so that they can have more matches being played. So it counts only as one playing date. So we are making adjustments to the fall tournaments. We may have to make adjustments to our overnight stays in traveling. So having said that, the time limit is the most important thing. Once we decide in our season, hey, I'm going to do 12 weeks in the fall, 12 weeks in the spring, then we decide which weeks we are going to take, when to give the time off. A lot of coaches are very, very smart. Obviously, they want to make sure that the players don't get burnt out. They give them time off before their midterm exams and towards the end. In the meantime, we spend an equal amount of time in the gym and training, not just playing matches all the time. So to answer George's question, the season is divided, and we adapt accordingly. So there's more heavier training going on in the fall semester, and having played the tournaments. Once that short period is done in the fall, there is a cutoff date for NCAA. After that, you're allowed to do only 8 hours a week of training per player. That means only 2 of those 8 hours can be on-court drills or coaching. The other 6 hours have to be physical training. And beyond the 8 hours, it's up to each individual to do extra work. The coaches cannot do anything. NAIA, junior colleges, we don't have that limit. We don't have that constraint. We can play all week long, 6 days a week. We just have to make sure that we don't take it away from their studies and classrooms. So there's a protocol that is going to be followed because of COVID-19 now. So we don't know whether we are allowed to bring in all players at the same time on the court, whether we're going to allow drills in a group, doubles drills. Can we do those? So yeah, these are questions that we're going to be finding out in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah. So, basically it's very fluid situation right now, and things change, once we get new information. But typically you play 12 week in fall and 12 week in the spring.
Yeah.
How many home and away matches throughout the season?
Throughout the season, obviously every program tries to maintain even balance between home and away. We do want the exposure at the college. So some colleges like ours, we limit ourselves to like say 20 regular season matches. So we try to play 10 home and 10 away. Conference matches are usually mandated or already set up by each conference, and they try to keep it balanced as well. But there are some teams that don't have enough. Because of the geographical distance, they do more traveling because they don't have enough courts in their property, or they don't have enough people wanting to go all the distance, so they travel a lot. But those are very few. So a lot of them play regionally. I would say majority of the colleges play an even schedule. But there are exceptions because of court availability or the season, the weather. The northern teams tend to travel a lot to the south where it's warmer and they can play outside, because it gets very expensive to play indoors, and very few colleges have their own indoor courts. So yeah, we try to keep a half and half home and away schedule.
Okay, good. So, all right, well, we're gonna start answer some of these questions that we receive. I guess the first one will be based on what you see, what's gonna happen once the season start after this COVID. And I think you alluded to that a little bit about traveling. Maybe more your schedule program will be changed rather than get on the plane. Now you will be driving, so things will change. So what other thing that you see that will change?
The significant change we're going to see is the number of contests, where we're going to be allowed to travel and how far. And the traveling is our biggest, for each team, is going to be our biggest concern, because a lot of them have maybe one bus to take their athletes. Like at Lindsey Wilson and some of our colleges close by, we take two different vans, one for the girls, one for the boys. Is that going to be safe? What protocols we have to follow? Obviously, we're going to do our best to make sure they wash their hands, faces. We have the solutions in the car, the hand sanitizers. Everybody will have to wear a mask when they're traveling. What do we do about food? When we go to a restaurant, what is the protocol? If we can't do it, obviously we have to do everything on the road. So these are our main concerns right now. But as far as getting on the court and playing, we know for a fact that the USTA is recommending only one-on-one playing right now, singles. They're not recommending doubles as yet, to be extremely cautious. So that is going to ease up a little bit, but depends. Are we going to be able to, how are we going to play? So you're thinking about, obviously 2 different cans of balls each. Now, when we play doubles, do we have 4 cans of balls, once for each player? So these are things that, minor things we're worried about. But the most important thing is, when it comes to international students, I'm worried that the players who have left the country, will they be allowed to travel back? We have been told that we have to start working normally, like we are going to open this fall. And that's pretty much almost every college that is in session right now. They all want to open for the fall. They're all willing to do whatever it takes to get the sports going this fall semester. California state colleges all closed down for the rest of the year. They're not going to have any on-campus activity. It's all going to be online. That means sports is, as we speak, is going to be all canceled in California. state schools. So these are like very difficult times, and the changes that I see happening, and from what I'm hearing from our different seminars that we are attending, is that tennis, individual sports like tennis, golf, we are going to be able to survive. We're going to be able to do our programs under limited or some strict conditions. But if a college cannot sustain all its sports, fall sports like American football, men's and women's soccer, volleyball, we have basketball starting late fall. If they cannot start those programs, they're going to think twice about other sports. Tennis is not traditionally a fall sport, so we may be told to just limit to 1 or 2 tournaments, and boom, we can only play in the spring. So these are the immediate changes that we are anticipating, and we're getting ready for it.
Yeah, so it's good. And this is a question from Adash that what changes are coming. I think it's a very dynamic situation. So, we're going to get more updated, as the time go by. And when you mentioned about, how we play tennis and all this situation in the season, it's very alarming of what's going to happen. And for me, we just got updated from NCAA Division I Council regarding to the deadline change. Your recruiting also changed regarding to the process. And also, how about the big one? Let me throw this to you. Many schools already start cutting the program. Would you see that starting to happen in NCAA level? Because we heard a lot from NCAA because they have to keep a lot of sport for football.
Yes. This is, again, a concern to obviously a lot of players and some coaches, because, not only will they lose their jobs, but a lot of kids will have to, move. But yes, already we have seen about 8 programs being cut from, a Division I to even, up to a Division III level. This impacts, obviously, those individual programs, but it also helps some of the other schools, smaller schools. For me, for instance, I already have 2 transfer students that I was able to attract over here. Yes, this is going to become I hope it's not a cascading effect, a domino effect, but it will affect people who rely on numbers and who rely on colleges that rely on sports to bring in new students. So if that number drops, with the regular students numbers drop, one of the first things they are going to cut is sports. And unfortunately, tennis, golf, wrestling, to a degree, we are very vulnerable to the situation. We are not a money-making, a sport. So we are seeing a lot of men's and even women's tennis being dropped at this time. So at the NAIA level, we have been told that no one has dropped their sport yet. They're maintaining all the sports, especially in my area, Kentucky, Tennessee, even Ohio. We are maintaining our status quo and hoping for the best. This is maybe a good time to look at smaller programs, because we are not overly dependent on the big, sports to fund our sports. We're not dependent on basketball and American football to bring in the big bucks to support us. So small colleges, small programs, everybody's evenly funded. It's a good time to focus on this.
Yes. So it's just like any crisis, people benefit and people will have a disadvantage. So
Right.
All right, the next question from, I guess, Mr. Maniraju. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. You see the question, Coach, about
Yes, I see
NCAA
it.
and NAA?
Between NCAA and NAIA, which one the player should target for a good university to play college tennis and at the same time get a good academic support? Uh, Almost all colleges, and again, I've seen and traveled around many places. The academics, the bachelor's degree, for the most part, is the level is very good everywhere, and most colleges have a great academic support program. Now, having said that, it's up to each individual player and each individual coach to keep monitoring that. Uh, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in a lot of schools, maybe not in the big ones, but in small colleges, they're monitored on a weekly basis. For instance, if one of my players does not go to class for 2 days, the professor instantly, they have a online chat room that they send us a message. It goes to me, it goes to the athletic director, it goes to the registrar, it goes to the faculty athletic rep, and it goes to the student affairs vice president. What we try to do is we want to try and nip it in the bud. We're trying to make sure that the academic support means that we are proactive on a daily, weekly basis. If they, if they're not feeling well, if they're not doing well in a particular class, get them tutoring, get them additional help. So the professors and the university and college as a whole are monitoring it. But finally, it's up to the individual to ask for help or be honest about how they're doing class. So good coaches are always asking their players on a daily basis, how did the class go? How did their test go? So it's a trust issue, and it should happen on a regular basis. But more importantly, which one should they target? It'll again depend on your level of education. Obviously, if you are looking to go to a Harvard versus going to a state school, Alabama State, I don't know. What are you targeting? Is education your number one goal? For every coach, I cannot have a player on my team if they're not qualified academically. So student comes first. We call it student athletes. We call them student athletes for a purpose. They're students first, athletes second. So Mr. Maniraju, if you are targeting a good university to play college tennis, I would strongly suggest you first look at the degree program, whether it's what is available, whether they, it's something that, they really want, what the level is, what kind of accreditation they have. I would go with the academic research first. Then go down the list to look at the size of the college, size of the university, the location. Is that where you want to be? As we speak about COVID-19 issues, do you want to be in a high risk, heavily populated city now? But the education may be fantastic, but right now, would you rather be in the middle of the country in a small town? That's up to you. All the colleges and universities have good programs for the basic degree, but you've got to categorize that from the academics, then the location, and all the other things you want. But the tennis should be somewhere a little bit below that. I would not put, hey, how do I get to play tennis, at this college first? Don't try to get an admission into a college that is out of your reach. So.
Good advice, Coach. And what about the weather, the warm area, and geography? So they're all different. What would you say on that?
Yeah, geographically, we battle this all the time. If I had a preference, I would love to be in the South, so I can play year round. I can recruit better. Whether it's the level of the athletes or not, it does affect recruiting to a good degree. First of all, there are fewer tennis programs up north, more in the south. The programs in the north that are there, they have to rely on the reason they play in the fall. They rely on the warm weather. They don't have their seasons in the spring. Most of the northern schools. The southern schools typically like to play in the spring because the weather is a little bit cooler in the spring. Very, very extremely hot and humid in the late fall. So that does affect geographical area and the seasons effect. Like I mentioned earlier, not everybody has access to indoor courts. It's very expensive. So colleges, with limited budgets, tend to try and play more in the fall. So if you're looking for a championship team, if you have a very, very strong level player, to be attracted to like for instance, a Princeton or a Harvard is easy because they do have the facilities, but majority do not have, these kind of facilities. But this does affect recruiting. But let me warn you, in this, again, we are talking about COVID right now. Many of these indoor facilities are closed. They're not allowed to be used.
Yep.
So the advantage is back to neutral. Everybody is in the same ballpark. I have players from Europe who the Northern European people tend to go to a lot of northern schools because they want similar climates. A player from Norway or Sweden is not going to survive as much in Florida and Texas. They tend to go to more middle of the nation or the northern teams. Players from Mexico, South America tend to stay in the southern part of the U.S. So it does affect in where they end up and how we recruit.
For me, from Asia, certainly gotta be bottom half. I can't go up north there. Can't pay me enough. So
Right.
all right, we'll come to the end, and I think the last question we'll take from Brandon regarding to percentage that you're giving to players regarding to athletic scholarship.
How will you evaluate the amount of athletic scholarship percentage given to the player? Will the cancellation of sports of many sports tournament this year affect the percentage of scholarship? Yes, a little bit of no, but yes, for the most part, the evaluation, like I said to you, is based on what we perceive level of play. I look at first, they'll say, hey, I'm a 12 UTR level player for a guy, or say a girl says, I'm a 10 UTR. Okay, we look at that. Then we look at results. For a smaller school like mine, obviously, if I can get a 10 UTR girl to come here, I'm going to do everything in my power to give her a full 100%. But again, it depends on the requirements. My requirements are they have to be academically eligible for academic scholarships because this makes my life easier. So I try to give 30% academic, maybe the rest, athletic. So we have to weigh those options about the level of play with the level of their academics and what they bring to the table. We do have video conferences with them. So we try to assess their fit into the team. Many colleges go a step further, left-handed player, whether they're good at doubles, how useful they're going to be. So if a player is only a singles player, does not like to play doubles, is not going to be very useful to a team. So those are the evaluations we are constantly making, juggling. But for the most part, a coach knows, hey, each player is $36,000 a year. I have $18,000 left. I have half a scholarship left. So for this half, if I want to give them a full, how will they do academically? So these are the percentages we play with. Maybe I won't get a 13 UTR guy to come and play for me, but each coach, I don't speak for them, but I'm speaking from experience. will have a basic idea what they want to offer. We obviously want to offer the best and the most to everybody, but we have our limits. So how do we play within our institutional limit, our conference limit, and our league limits? So every place has a limit. Just because NAIA, I'm allowed to give 5 full scholarships, does not mean we're going to give 5. I'm allowed to give 5 fulls for my team. The institutional ones are less for the most part. So percentage-wise, I would say do not look for 100% just blindly. It does not happen. About less than 1% of the total athletes in this country receive full scholarships, all things paid, and the cost of attendance and arriving and departing. So you're talking about 1%. And you better be a world-class level player or extraordinary for that to happen. Majority of the students fall in that 60 to 70% category. They may get academic money, or they may get academic and a little bit of athletic, or some athletic. I would say the average percentage is about maybe less than 50% that they'll get scholarships.
Good, good. And then for me, I simply ask back, are you a game changer? If you're a game changer in that particular program, suddenly you will be 100% or considering as 100%. If not, take a little bit less, but not maybe only athletic only, but academically, other stuff. But it's always a college for somebody who motivated and determined to come. Okay. So, all right, Coach, and well, thank you again for your time today.
Hey, can I make one more point to everybody?
Yes.
Regarding scholarships, one final point, please. Academic scholarships are guaranteed for 4 years, or the whole time that the player is there. Athletic scholarships are only 1-year contracts, yearly. It can change. The coach can say, hey, you get more, or you're getting less, or we're canceling your scholarship after the season. So please remember that athletic scholarships are not guaranteed for 4 years. Okay, they are yearly contracts that you're signed, so you have to maintain your eligibility, you have to maintain your standard, and obviously you have to be very, very proactive and nice to your coaches.
Is that a message for your current roster here? I don't know if it's NCAA compliant, but we also have your current player on the line and his coach and her coach.
Ice is doing great. Ice is doing great. We're just getting her to, she's acclimated herself very well. A great example from Thailand, from Bangkok. Coach Ko and I keep in touch on a regular basis about her, and we give her all the support and emotional support, as well as the physical support in the school. So there's a good example, and maybe if she's online, she can say a few words. But it's a challenge for all of us.
I would like to say thank you, Coach Suresh and Pichot. And this university have a very, very good. Coach Suresh support is my prayer and support for everything. And say thank you, Coach Suresh. I think this university.
Welcome. My pleasure. We are going to take good care of Ice. Not to worry.
Thank you, Pichot, and thank you, Coach Suresh. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And Ice, you on the line? Would you like to say a few words and say hello to Coach?
I think so. He's sleepy.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's good. Well, in that case, thank you again. And I know, you can entrust Coach Suresh with your players. And especially, is she the only Asian player on the team right now, Coach?
Yes, she is right now. But I'm bringing in another player from India this fall. Hopefully, keep my fingers crossed with the visa. She's been accepted. Yeah. But I'm hoping to bring in more players from all over Asia. And I love being an Asian. I want to be surrounded with a few Asians.
Thank you very much. And I want to take this opportunity to shout out to our friends and partner in Philippines, Kyle. I'm not sure if his microphone is on, but thanks again. He's our partner there, and he played for UC Davis back a few years ago, and he was a national players, all this stuff. But now he come to join us for Philippines. But
my apologies, by the way, I forgot. I do have a girl from right now on the team from Japan as well.
Wonderful, coach. Okay, so we're gonna notify you more men and on the teams, and it would be wonderful. But thanks again for everyone to join us today, and please stay tuned with our U.S. College Sport Camp. And hopefully, Coach, we can be there this week in Asia. Hopefully, we will see you and bring you to see everybody in Asia soon. If it, whenever it's happened, safe to travel again.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate everybody. Thank you. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me.
Okay, and I have your information on the chat room. All right, thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
See you. Good night.
Good night. โอ้ยไอ้แม่งไม่ตื่น